afternoon. It is a pleasure to be in the house with a group of such accomplished and successful women, and I just appreciate the opportunity to come and very humbly talk to you about my story. I'll just say very quickly, the North Carolina Office of the State Auditor, there's one or two misconceptions. One of them I want to clear up right now. When I attend these functions or any kind of function, people don't want to come and talk to me. Nobody wants to come near me. And the reason I find out is because they think I audit your tax returns. So who wants to get to know this woman that's going to go back once she learns your name, pull your tax return, and see what you got going on? It takes about $19 billion, and that's billion with a B, to run the general operations of the state of North Carolina. And to get that money to run our state, $10 billion comes in from state income taxes that you and I pay. Over half of the budget it takes to run the state of North Carolina comes in state income taxes that we pay. Another $5 billion comes into the state from sales taxes that we pay every time we make a purchase. And if you own your own business, there's another $1 billion in corporate taxes. Those three line items, that's what it takes $19 billion to run our state, but those three line items make up almost 75% of what it takes to run this state. The Office of the State Auditor, it is my job to audit those tax dollars that you pay in, that I pay in, to ensure those monies are properly accounted for, they're properly reported, and most important to you and I as citizens of North Carolina is that those dollars are not wasted, that they're spent for the intended purpose, because my dollars, I don't know about you, are pretty hard earned. And I want to make sure that they are used in the proper way and that they're not being wasted. So that's where I am today. That's who I am today, but I want to talk to you about the journey there. Haven't always been a CPA. The first career in my life, I was a dental hygienist. I scraped teeth. At one time, I had a license. I could scrape your teeth or do your taxes. I was pretty diversified. I decided after 10 years actually 8 years of being a dental hygienist, I wanted to go and do more. So I put myself back through school at East Carolina University. I was very close, to losing my car. I mean, it was, a matter of eating or putting oil in the car, of eating or putting tires on the car. So it was a pretty rough trip, but I did it. I was able to do it. And I was very excited about earning this degree. But let me tell you about this country bumpkin from Route 1 Cove City and some of the things she did not know. Now, I came from a farm. We grew up pretty poor. I can remember the seasons growing up as a child that, during any season, you only had 2 pairs of shoes. Mm-hmm. And you had one for church and one for school. And you did not mix them up. And that's hard for the kids that I talk to in the universities to understand. These kids with 16 pairs of jeans and 2 pairs of shoes to match every pair. It's hard for them to understand. So here I am at East Carolina University at 29 years old. I'm going to graduate, and I am going to interview for my first job. So I run out and I buy the proverbial blue suit, white Peter Pan collar, blue shoes to match. I'm so excited. The whole outfit cost $100. I am so excited, and I'm going to interview with one of the CPA firms, the Big 8. Everybody wanted to go to work with them. So I go into my interview, and I come out, and I'm talking to one of the young men that I'm in a study club with, and he says, "Have you had your interview yet?" And I said, "Yeah, I sure did. I just finished it." And he said, "You didn't wear that, did you?" I said, "Yes, I did. I was proud of my new blue suit." And what it is, the stitching they put on the pockets to keep the pockets from coming open? Uh-huh. Well, this was back when they were first doing it. And on this navy blue suit, they had white stitching. Obvious to everybody but me what that was. So I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Well, you didn't take that stitching off your..." And I said, this is, like a decoration, isn't it?" He said, No. That's what they use to keep the pockets sewn down. I was like, oh, needless to say, I didn't get that job. So I leave East Carolina, and I go to work for Rayovac Corporation, Rayovac flashlights and batteries, and it was Kinston, North Carolina. I was a cost accountant for them. Stayed with them 3 years, went to work for McGladrey & Pullen CPA firm. There I audited cities and counties and large not-for-profits. stayed with them for about 3 years, left there, went to work for one of their clients, that furniture company. I stayed with them for about 3 years, left there, and moved to Raleigh to go to work for the state treasurer's office. Worked for the state treasurer for about 3 years, left there. I've been married twice, 3 years each. Y'all see a pattern going here. Frankly, I went to state government, and I decided that this was a spin, and I had been in corporate America, and I just didn't understand this spending and no bottom line. So I decided I was getting out of state government, and I thought I wanted to be a trainer. So the state auditor's office had an opening for somebody that involved training. So I went over and I interviewed, and the state auditor himself called me up, and he said, I got some good news and some bad news. He said, the bad news is you didn't get the job. And I thought, well, what could the good news be? He said, I was so impressed with you. He said, I decided to bring you into my office, make a position for you, and bring you into my office. And I thought, cool, that's great. I get into the state auditor's office, and I recognize that office audits the tax dollars that the citizens of North Carolina pay in every year. I recognize that this is the office that audits my parents' hard-earned dollars that are being paid into the state of North Carolina. So now this becomes a responsibility to me instead of just another job. So then I get in there, and I'm looking around, and I see that 81% of everybody that works for the state auditor's office is getting an exceeds expectation or outstanding on their evaluations. Yet, when I'm talking to people about promotions or moving somebody from one team to another, they go, I'm not taking that person on my team. She can't do the job, or he doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm thinking, but you gave them an exceeds expectation on their performance evaluation. So I get in the middle of all that, and we revamp the evaluation piece for the state auditor's office. To date, the state of North Carolina, the evaluation for the employees in the state of North Carolina, 98,000 employees, the statistics are there's about 83% who have an exceeds expectation or outstanding. In the for-profit world, that figure is 28 to 32%. In my office, 78% meet expectations. And I used to tell my staff all the time, I said, there's nothing wrong with meeting expectations. I was the director of training, and I was one of the first ones when we changed this to get into I'm the first one that got to meet expectation. And they said, how do you feel about that, Beth? And I said, I feel wonderful. I said, it ain't easy doing my job. It ain't easy. I said, you have to be able to learn a lot of different things to train people. You have to be able to stand up and talk in front of people. You have to be able to convey it and tie it to their job so that they can understand what they're doing. You have to be tall, blonde, beautiful, with great legs. And when I get a meets expectation, I'm excited. I also found that the state auditor's office, that the training, we were putting people through training. We were spending money on training the staff, and none of the training pertained to the job they did. So I got in the middle of that, and I started working on training that would ensure that what they were doing applied to the job. And then I look around, and we're putting all these audits out, and nobody's paying attention to the audits we're doing. Nobody is understanding, nobody's taking the work that we do to stop the wasteful spending in state government. And I thought, what's wrong here? So I got in the middle of all that. And you know what? After about 10 years, I realized if I was the boss, this job would be a lot easier. It would be a lot easier. So I decided in 2004 that in the next election, 2008, I was going to run to be state auditor. And I worked real hard. I didn't come from a family with money. I have never been in politics before in my life. The only thing I've ever run for in my life was president of my junior class in high school, and I lost. So I've never been involved in politics, but you know what? I wanted to stop the griping and step up and do something about the things that I saw were not being done well. And so I knew as a CPA, I had all this governmental background. I'd taught CPAs across the nation, governmental auditing and accounting. Now, I will tell you this, I know my limitations. You do not want me to do your tax returns. If you want to go to jail, let me do your tax return, okay? I cannot do a tax return. But I am good at this job because my whole career has been about governmental auditing and accounting. Now, I said I had no money, I had no recognition, so I got out and I worked really, really hard in the state. While I was with the state auditor's office, I was faced with a crisis that could have taken me down, but I didn't let it. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was not where I had the opportunity for a lumpectomy. It was only in one breast, but at the same time, I didn't let it get me down. God bless me in that we caught it early enough that I did not have to have chemotherapy or radiation, and I am a blessed woman because I did not have to go through it. But I'm here to tell you that when somebody uses a C word on you, it can take you down. It can take you down, but I did not let it. And so I went on to campaign for the Office of State Auditor, and I ran into another issue that we women face sometimes, and that was I had a male candidate. And the only thing he could use against me, really, because I had a great record. I mean, I had worked hard. I had a great, a record of where I came from and all the employment, all the jobs I had, and everything that I had done. So he wanted to use my looks against me. I know. So we go to an event, and we have to go after the endorsement, and we're in an African-American church. And we both have to stand up. Now, this is male and me, and I'm, 6 feet 1 inch tall in my high heels. I have a red dress, spiked up hair, and he stands right here. Okay? So this is he and I standing up there, and we're going after this endorsement. And, of course, if you're the candidate, you always want the last word. You always want them to hear what you got to say last. Well, being the smart politician that he was, he said, ladies first. So he goes first, and then I go first, and then he gives his 2-minute speech, and he finishes up with, I want everybody here to know that I am a workhorse, not a show horse. Now, I just gave y'all my story about where I got, how far I had gotten at this point. I had worked hard, and to call me a show horse. Remember 2 things when that got said. Number 1, you're standing in church. Number 2, your mother said when you went out on the campaign trail, do not run a negative campaign. Right. Do not run a negative campaign. Yep. So the wheels were just twirling in my head. So then they asked us both a question, and of course I had to respond first. And I said, before I answer that question, I said I want to address this workhorse, show horse thing. I said, nowhere have I ever seen it written that in order to be smart, you had to be ugly. We were in an African-American church, and those women were going, you go, sister, you go, sister. Of course, I answered the question eventually, and he answered it. They asked us another one. I answered, he answered. They ain't heard nothing we said. Those women were still laughing. They were rolling in the aisles. When we sat down, needless to say, I got the endorsement, and we moved on. I won that election, and I know that I didn't win that election, that by the grace of God. It was His will for me that I won that election, and I'm very proud to have served the citizens of North Carolina in that seat. One thing that I will tell you, there was some controversy or conversation about endorsing me or not endorsing me. People ask me all the time, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? And you know what I tell them? I'm a CPA. We audit all the dollars, the red ones and the blue ones. We audit them all. And under our leadership in this office, I have a phenomenal executive team. I have a phenomenal team of auditors. Under that office, under that jurisdiction, we have in my office, I promised that I would take the politics out of our office. And the only way you can do that is to run an office with your executive staff made up of all parties. And in my office, my executive staff is made up of Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated. That is the only way. And to tell everybody, I don't care who you are, you leave your politics at the door. We audit. In fact, when I came into office, the state of North Carolina faced a $4.8 billion shortfall, and I don't care whose fault it is. We all need to get rid of the politics and fix it. Fix it. I had the opportunity to go hear Renee Elmers speak a few weeks ago at the Raleigh Triangle Power Lunch, and she and I agree on a lot of things, but one we certainly agree on, and I want to leave y'all with this thought, is that we need more women. We need more women. I don't care what your party is. We need more women in our federal and our state government, because when women come to the table, when women are a part of the discussion, the outcomes are different. They are absolutely different, and we need to continue that. We are nurturing. We are about relationships. We are about getting the job done. We don't let our egos get in the way. That's who we are. And so if I can do it, coming up from a poor farming background, but with great, great parents who always said you can be anything you want to be. If I can do this, anybody sitting in this room can do this. The thing I think about all the time is that women are too smart to get involved in the junk you have to put up with to be in office sometimes. So I say that's why a lot of women are not more women in what we do, but I would invite you to come join me, come join Renee Elmers. We are fighting for our state and our country. We do need women, more women like you sitting at the table with us to get our state and our country back on track. Thank you for allowing me to be here today, to have a chance to talk with you about who I am, the story, and how I got to where I am. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you, and God bless you.
Yes, wasn't that great? Yes, wonderful. On behalf of all of us here, we want to thank you for coming down and telling us your wonderful story. I knew it would be great. Thank you so much.